Good afternoon. My name is Doug Bilsma. I'm the pastor of Living Hope Presbyterian Church of Beamsville, Ontario. Beamsville is a small town in the heart of Niagara. We've been in ministry in the heart of Niagara for 25 years. And just speaking this afternoon on a very simple question: what is Presbyterianism? And a lot of people have this kind of a conversation, or they have this kind of a fear that Presbyterianism, this is this big word. What does it mean? Kind of sounds scary. You know, what weird ivory tower theologian came up with this huge word, 7 syllables, Presbyterianism. And what I want us to appreciate this afternoon very simply is Presbyterianism is one of the families of churches, came out of Scotland, came out of the 16th century Protestant Reformation, and particularly was developed and established in Scotland with John Knox. And so it's got very historical roots in the Protestant Reformation. And Presbyterianism, again, it sounds like a big word. You know, what does this mean? And a very basic definition of Presbyterianism is that it's elder-run. It's not just a tradition that Presbyterians have brought into the 21st century. We believe it to be biblical. And that, of course, is the most important thing. Is Presbyterianism, as a form of government, biblical? And we would argue, absolutely it is. In fact, we would argue it is the biblical way for a church to be running by way of government. The word Presbyterian, very simply, comes from the Greek word, the New Testament Greek word for elders. So where you in the English Bibles are reading the word elders, in the Greek, it's singular would be presbyteros, plural would be presbyteroi. And that's where we get our word Presbyterian from. And it is elders-led church government. Now we turn to the book of Acts, we see congregants voting for, selecting, and voting for their elders. And that is true. And once those elders are in place, they are the ones who will be tasked with ruling and running, making the decisions for the church. And so we look at something like Matthew chapter 16, verse 18 and following. And Jesus addresses Peter, says to Peter, "On this rock I will build my church." Says to Peter, Peter as a representative of the apostles, that to them were given the keys of the kingdom. The keys of the kingdom are to open up the kingdom to those who have their faith in Jesus Christ alone for salvation. Closing the kingdom is for those who are unrepentant and show by a life that they do not desire to live under the lordship of Jesus. Well, the apostles then later on gave these keys, as it were. It's not an actual key, but the authority and the representation of rule to the elders. And so we turn to Acts chapter 15, to what we call the Jerusalem Council. And there at the Jerusalem Council, we see the apostles and elders coming together to take up a controversy, one of the first controversies the church faced, the necessity or not of the Jewish practice of circumcision. The apostles and the elders came together, they took up this issue, they looked at it, they came to their decisions, and that decision was then broadcast, and the churches across the Mediterranean world that had been established, that decision made at the Jerusalem Council was for all the churches. It's not like local congregations decided by their own vote, well, we're going to have this or not. It was a decision for the churches, made by the apostles and elders, the presbytery, the presbyteroi. And so this is where we're getting this idea of Presbyterianism from. It's very scriptural. And so just defining the word again, very simply put, Presbyterianism is an elder-run church government as we see practiced in Scripture. Thank you.